Hello and welcome to the first of 3 videos regarding life in Elizabethan society. So this one is going to be about education, there'll be sports, pastimes and theatre, and there'll be one on the poor and changing attitudes towards the poor. So what was it like in terms of education in Elizabethan times? Well, as you can see there, only around 20% of the population could read or write. Really, the purpose of education at that time was to help and to aid people and to help them to prepare in their expected roles in life. So obviously, if you were a farmer or, something manual, some sort of peasant or whatever, then the need for education, it wasn't seen that it was, it wasn't essential for you. So only a relatively small amount of the population, 15 to 20%, could actually read or write. Schools also were expensive. Schools had fees, so that's going to rule people out. And the view was that only the rich needed to attend. People saw no need for a formal education for the vast majority of people, especially those in the labouring classes. But we began to get changed. So by the early 1500s, you've got humanists, they're philosophers, and they are arguing that education was valuable and not merely a way of just preparing people for the future. So this meant that during Elizabeth's reign, more and more opportunities were presenting themselves for sort of more and more people. So Protestants argued that people ought to be able to study the scriptures, for example. So obviously to do that, people would need to read or write. There was the growth of the printing press. It was easier and cheaper to print written material more than ever, and this meant that people had more access to it. The growth of trade required people to be able to read and to be able to write, to understand mathematics, to keep records, to complete transactions. So all these different things during the Elizabethan era encouraged people and allowed people to partake in education. So you can see here we've got a range of different types of schools that people had access to. We'll just go over them sort of rather quickly. Parish schools you could go to until you're about to the age of 10, run by the church, run by the clergy, and taught basic literacy. The type of people that would go to these schools would be the children of yeoman farmers and craftspeople. Private tutors, obviously you would need money to pay for these, so these were usually exclusively for members of the rich nobility and that type of class of person. And there you also, we've got things like grammar schools for ages 10 to 14. They provided education independently from the church now and charged fees. So this is kind of a new development, whereas education would have been done by the church. Now we've got independent schools teaching people. Again, they're charging. So these would be attended by the gentry, merchants, yeoman farmers and craftspeople again, and it would be boys. They would be taught things from the Bible, Latin, French, Greek and philosophy. The sons of yeoman farmers and craftsmen were taught reading and writing and mathematics. A petty school, these are private establishments run from people's homes, again attended by the same type of people, the gentry, merchants, yeoman farmers and craftsmen. And finally there, universities from the age 14 or 15 onwards. You had Oxford or Cambridge to choose from, and there you had a range of subjects, again quite highbrow: geometry, music, astronomy, philosophy, logic and rhetoric, which is persuasive speaking, medicine, law, and the highest possible qualification you can get there was a doctorate. Okay, regarding girls in the Elizabethan period, as you can see there, many girls did not receive formal education. If you were from a more well-off family, you may have attended a dame school, which was essentially the same as the petty school that the boys went to, where you maybe would be taught to read or write. This you'd have to pay for, and it'd be run by a wealthy woman in their home. Or alternatively, wealthy girls may have had private tutors. So then a quick summary then about what changes were made in education during the Elizabethan era. You've got grammar schools which were introduced, which meant that the education could be done independently from the church. It didn't have to be done by the church, but obviously you would need to pay for that. There was the introduction of scholarships, though. So these scholarships allowed people from poorer backgrounds to receive an education. They were given like a grant, and they were put through it that way. And as a result of this, as a result of things like the invention of the printing press, the need to read, and these new opportunities, literacy within the Elizabethan era did improve. So that kind of brings me to the end of this education video. It's a little short one today. Watch out over the next day or two for sports, pastimes and theatre, and one on the poor, which are all kind of linked together to do with Elizabethan society. And I'm using the revised Edexcel revision guide to sort of help put this together. If you want to sort of get further information, do your research, use the resources that are available to you. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.